those complaints, I'm going to treat them like I would treat sensitive pictures. They will not be shown to the public because of those Social Security number concerns. You keep doing what you want to do in here. I just wanted to make that announcement that the court proceedings will continue to be shown live stream. Those specific complaints will not be because of the Social Security, and I'm not asking you to do any redactions or anything because the jury needs to see the entire complaint based on what's been proffered to the court. Any concerns about that from the state's perspective?
No, Judge.
Anything from the defense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any reason we shouldn't bring back in the jury at this time?
Judge, the only other thing I have, and this is not a redaction, but speaking with Mr. Davis here at the break, there is a portion of the video relating to Joshua Emanuel, roughly an 8 or 9 minute portion in the middle of his video that I don't see any relevance for my case. I asked Mr. Davis if he had something that he wanted highlighted in there. Otherwise, I could potentially skip that. We're not seeking that it be redacted. It would go back the complete video with the jury. But for the sake of saving some jury attention in here, that's something that I would consider.
Mr. Davis, are you wanting him to play the whole video, or are you wanting him to fast forward for approximately 7 to 8 minutes?
I'm fine with that 7 or 8 minute period of this video.
Go ahead and announce on the record, counsel, if you know when you're going to start the fast forwarding, the date stamp and the end date stamp on the recording. Okay.
Would you like me to do that now?
Now, when you do it, just say, I'm based on consideration of counsel and the court, we're going to go ahead and stop it, pause it at 7:24, and move it on to whatever you're going to stop. That's just an example number, and then wherever you stop it, make sure we've got a number in there. And it's my understanding, counsel, that we're going to send the entire video, including the portion that we're fast forwarding through here today, so if the jury wants to watch it in deliberations, they can do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything, Mr. Davis, you want to object to in that regard? All right, let's go ahead and bring our jury in.
All rise.
Thank you, Mr. Bailiff. Please come to rest. Good afternoon. Just for the jury's sake, we will be taking an afternoon recess, probably somewhere between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. So you can expect another 15-minute recess during that time period, depending on when a good break point is. State, who would you like to call next?
Joshua Emanuel.
Joshua Emanuel. Mr. Emanuel, if you'll raise your right hand, sir.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, sir. You can sit down, please. Mr. Emanuel, a couple things. That's our jury out there today, so you need to make sure that you speak loud enough that at least the bailiff in the back can hear you. With these masks on, that can be difficult, so you got to up it a volume or two. Second thing is, if you hear an objection, if you'll pause your testimony, I'll instruct you on how to proceed, okay? Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Would you state your name for the record?
My name is Joshua Emanuel.
All right. Mr. Emanuel, do you recall getting pulled over by a sheriff's deputy on April 8th of 2018?
I do.
Where were you headed?
I was actually headed to work in Panama City.
All right, where were you working at that time?
American Eagle.
What was your position there?
At the time, I was the store manager for that store.
The car that you were driving when you got pulled over, whose was it?
That was mine.
Was it a car that you regularly drove?
Yes.
Was there anybody else with you at the time you were pulled over?
No.
When was the last time you had been in it?
The previous day.
When you got pulled over, what did the deputy tell you the reason for the stop was?
He informed me that he stopped me being since that my license was suspended
Okay.
after he ran my tag.
All right. Now, at that point, did you know whether or not that was accurate?
I didn't know. I wasn't sure. It's the first I've heard of it.
Okay. Did you give him your ID?
Of course.
All right. And did he stay at your car, or did he go back to his car? Where did he go after you gave him that?
I believe he went back to his car.
Do you recall him making contact with you again at your car after that?
I do.
Do you remember what he had to say once he returned?
Yes, that's when he informed me that indeed, he ran, that the license had been suspended. Obviously, it was the first I've heard of it, so I was kind of shocked by it. I asked, probable cause as to why it could have been that way, and he mentioned something about a ticket from Bay County, and so just kind of proceeded from there.
Did he end up asking for permission to search your car?
He asked me if there was anything in the vehicle he needed to be concerned about, and I just informed him that there was a handgun in the center console. And that's when he asked me if I would step out so he could verify that.
Okay. Now, at that time, did you have a license to carry a firearm?
No,
Okay. But you told him about that firearm?
I did.
All right. And when you got out of the car, where did you go?
I went to the front of his patrol car, which was parked behind mine.
At this point, was he the only deputy on scene, or was there somebody else there?
State Trooper O'Pry did show up at the scene.
Okay. Was it at that point, or was it later?
At this point, I believe Deputy O'Pry, I believe he was there at the time.
Okay. Now, did you stay with Deputy O'Pry away from your car for the remainder of this stop?
Yeah, me and O'Pry were side by side at the front of Wester's car for the remainder of that stop.
And at what point did the defendant, Mr. Wester, actually tell you that he was going to search your car?
When he walked back by, he mentioned that he had seen something
Okay.
when he went to go for the firearm,
Okay.
and at that point he told me he was going to be doing a search.
And did you actually see him do this search?
I did.
Were you able to be right there with him at the car and see the areas he was searching as he was searching them?
No.
Right. At that point, did you see him going back and forth to his patrol car?
He went back and forth to me. The only time he went back to his patrol car after that point was when he went back to do the field testing.
Did he have his search gloves on during this search?
For the initial contact, no, but when he came back from his vehicle, he did have his gloves with him.
Okay. Now, after he told you that he thought he saw something when he was searching for the firearm, did you have the chance to see him continue to search to see what it was?
The only thing I really saw was the fact that he did kept going back into the car like several times over and over and over again, because he'd come back, he'd talk to me, he'd go back to the car, he'd come back to me, he'd go back to the car.
At what point did he tell you what he found?
He told me what he had found, like a description of it.
What did he say?
Well, he said he found a syringe in a baggie that looked like it had been used.
Did he tell you where he had found it?
Yes, he said he found it. He said it was stuffed down in between the passenger seat and the center console.
Now, you previously talked about the car and all that. Would you have seen it if something was there?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Was there anything like that there?
No.
Was that a, people take care of their cars different ways. Let me ask it this way. Your car at that time, was it one that you regularly went through or cleaned or left dirty? How was it?
So when you work an hour away from where you live, you do have to kind of make sure you get everything out that day, bring it back the next day and that kind of thing. Because at the time I was commuting. So yes, there was like a few things here and there, but I also regularly went into that console. So if it was where he said it would have been, I would have seen it that night and that morning.
Now, when he initially told you what he had seen, just initially, what was your reaction?
Shock. I don't do math. I don't know why I would even be there.
Did you tell him whether it was really yours right then?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I told him it definitely wasn't mine.
Judge, at this time, I would move to publish State's Exhibit 2E as an echo.
Can you remind me what 2E is?
2E is a disc of a body camera video related to Joshua Emanuel.
Any objection, Mr. Davis?
No objection.
All right, do I need to read the qualifying instruction counsel before I publish?
Yes, sir.
All right, jury, if you'll listen to me really quickly. Members of the jury, you are about to view a video recording. The court instructs you that the recording has been edited to eliminate irrelevant portions that would not add to your understanding of this case. The fact that the recording has been edited should not concern you in any way and must not impact the way that you view and consider this evidence. You having a technical difficulty?
Is it still plugged in?
Is that it, counsel?
Okay, Mr. Emanuel, at this point in the video, you're able to see where it is in front of you, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, has the defendant already had the interactions with you like you told the jury already? Has that already happened?
When he initially approached me about when I told him I had the handgun in the center console, yes.
And the search of the car, had it already begun at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Bittner, could you resume the video?
What's that?
All right. I'm going to read you your rights. Just because I read your rights does not mean you're going to jail. Okay. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and have him or her with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you without cost for questioning if you desire. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the absolute right to stop answering questions any time. You also have the absolute right to stop answering any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand each of these rights I've explained to you?
I do.
Today, have you asked myself for truth or oath prior to allowing you to speak to an attorney?
No.
Okay. Having these rights in mind, you wish to talk to me now?
Sure.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase what we've already done here, okay? Pulled you over. Your driver's license is not valid. Okay. Pulled you out to talk to you about it. You made a spontaneous statement about there was a handgun in the center console. You said it was okay for me to go retrieve that handgun from the center console.
Yes.
Okay. Opened up the center console, shoved down in between the front passenger seat and where the center console is at. I come back and told you that I saw what appeared to be a syringe sticking out.
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever I went, I looked further, pulled the seat apart. The syringe is actually in like a plastic, larger baggie with a plastic container with a substance in it that appears to be an illegal narcotic. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Sorry, here you go.
Make it a little bit better. You also told me that you regularly have people ride in the vehicle with you.
I do.
Okay.
Every day.
Now, the people that you have ride in the vehicle with you, do they use illegal narcotics that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
And you've never used any illegal narcotics?
Like I said, I haven't smoked anything.
You from here in Jackson County?
Yeah.
How long you been working with American Eagle, man?
About 8 months now.
About 8
Been over
months?
there. Yeah. Been working in Denver for about 2 years now.
Where did you work at before that?
Buckle.
Buckle? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when I was back here running your driver's license, okay, I saw you make some kind of movement from the driver's seat over towards the passenger side. Can you tell me what you were doing with that?
Yeah. I was looking to check for any receipts for receipt of payment on my tickets or anything to see like what was causing my driver's license to be invalidated. Like I was just checking paperwork.
Okay. Just hang tight, man. At this time, okay, you are detained. You're not free to leave. I'm not going to put you in handcuffs and all that. Just hang out with this trooper, okay? 2554. Show me one detained. Do you have a kid? How old's your child?
5. It's not mine.
Okay. Who's your girlfriend?
Amber? Susan.
No. Never seen that before, man?
Now, Mr. Emanuel, at that point, does the defendant show you what he says he found in your car?
I mean, I briefly see it as he kind of passes by. Like, he's asking me if it was just like a recognizable item in my car.
And is that the first time you ever saw that item?
Yes.
Please resume this, Benny.
How long have you had this car?
About 2 years.
How often do you clean the car?
Well, I just the outside of it like once a week almost. Is that what we
Yeah. When did this happen?
A year ago,
A
probably?
year ago? Yeah. You've never seen this before?
Dude, I have no idea. How far was that down in there?
Whenever I went to reach for the handgun after if I would have never lifted the center console, I would not have seen that orange part sticking up. It was right between the console and the front passenger seat, man. So, you said a year ago. Damn.
It is.
No track marks.
No, dude, I don't use. I mean, you see where we're at. Yeah, man, you guys
Yeah,
like
it-
We're standing here, this definitely has the appearance of
Mr. Emanuel, when you're take your jacket off and you hold your arms out, what are you doing there?
I was showing that there weren't any track marks or anything. Like, I'm not injecting anything with a needle in my arms.
Please resume, Ms. Bittner.
illegal activity. You're swearing you know nothing about
It
it.
just puts me in a bad spot, man, because
Yeah, I feel you that.
if this test, what I think it's going to test for is going to put me even more of a bad spot because it's a felony, okay? I don't really have discretion to say sort of a felony, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about here, too.
And I tell my kids this because they drive. You're responsible for that vehicle.
I'm assuming that's bad.
It did test presumptive positive in the field for methamphetamine. Oh, man.
You have to be very careful about who you let in your vehicle.
That one's been used, too.
More so now than ever.
It's been used. Months ago on the inside.
I'm going to get a little invasive with you here for just a second, okay, buddy? Anyway, y'all keep talking.
So 3 months ago you say you cleaned the car?
Yeah, like, I don't really do it too often anymore.
And you know it wasn't there 3 months ago?
No.
No, you don't know or know it wasn't there? You don't know?
I don't go into the same consoles.
So while I'm doing this, I want you to think, bro, about who could have been in your car that might have left that in there because, look, man, I'm I'm not saying you're a bad person, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to understand where I'm coming from. A meth user is not going to leave narcotics in a vehicle that they've purchased, okay, and that they plan on using. So, okay, you don't appear to be a user, okay? And if you are a user, you've not been using it long. Or you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah. But that's a good thing. If you've not been using it long, and the first step is to be honest with us. If you do have a problem, starting to get a problem, we can get you help.
Right.
If you're
or,
not,
or if you're hanging around the wrong crowd.
Right.
Because this,
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I go to work, I come home, I
Okay.
sleep, I go back to work.
Okay.
I don't hang out, party, I don't.
the state entrusts me to be a fact finder, right? Try to put all the pieces to the puzzle together. Whenever I find something like this, it's kind of hard for me to do that. I don't know you. I've never met you before. I don't know your family, so I don't think you would have any reason to lie to me, right? And that's how I will go until you give me a reason to think that you are lying to me. So you can't think of anybody that might have left that in the vehicle.
I've got an employee list I can give you if I needed to. Like I said, I've only got one person I could imagine using. She doesn't work for me anymore.
how long should we go?
About 2-3 weeks now.
When was the last time she was in the vehicle?
About 3 weeks ago. Her last day she was in my car. I know she was having some domestic issues and her boyfriend would come in. He was kind of rough. I don't know, I don't like to say it was her, but if it had to be anyone, I'd choose her, if that makes any sense.
I just want you to understand where I'm coming from, man. When it's a felony, I have no discretion in the state of Florida for that, okay? Especially whenever it's narcotics, man. I can't just throw that in a ditch out here and act like it never happened.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're going to go to jail today for possession of methamphetamine, for possession of drug paraphernalia. Okay? I will help you out and not tow your car if you can get somebody here to pick your car up in about 10 or 15 minutes. Do you have anybody? Because I don't want you to have to pay a tow bill, man. I've not got to the trunk yet. Am I going to find anything right there in the back, bud? Nothing in your shoes?
Hey. How quickly can you get to,
Okay, Mr. Emanuel, at this point, what is going through your head? What is your state of mind?
Confusion. I go from getting pulled over, not really sure why, to learning my license was invalid, then to having a search done on my car, then to knowing or being told that I'm going to jail for methamphetamines possession. I mean, it's just total confusion. I didn't know what was going on.
Well, this other, you mentioned another employee who had been in the car, I think you said 2 to 3 weeks ago. Is that what was on there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the 2 to 3 weeks that you that since then, would you have seen it if that syringe and that bag and that meth were in that spot?
No, for sure. I mean, you saw the child seat in the back seat, and when you move that front seat, you can see in the video here, when you move that front passenger seat forward, it moves quite a bit. If there's anything in between there, you'd know.
For the record, we're at 13 minutes and 55 seconds. We're going to skip ahead to, let's get to 19 minutes.
With me as much as
I'll
possible.
take it up there for you, man.
Okay, here.
For the record, we're resuming here at 18 minutes and 39 seconds. Go ahead, Ms. Bittner, please resume it.
Hey Sarah, it's Josh from 243. I'm just calling to know the situation. I got pulled over coming out of headed to work, and apparently, well I say apparently, they found a syringe in between to jail overnight. I'm gonna just let you know that. I don't know if I need to have any sort of lawyer situation set up with the company policy about having employees not be here all the time. I don't know. I'll have to get in touch with you again at some later point. I just want to make you aware of the situation. I probably won't have my phone on me, so I'll get any information as soon as possible. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. And look, man, whenever I type my...
Who is Sarah? Who was
Sarah,
that?
she was my district manager at the time for American Eagle.
Now, after this, were you taken to jail?
Yes.
Nothing further at this time, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Emanuel. So you were taken to the jail, correct?
Correct.
What happened once you got to the jail?
They showered me in, they gave me all the clothes, they took, possessions, all that kind of stuff. They checked it in, and they held me in their education center, I believe.
Okay. Did you get released from the jail that night?
Yes.
Okay. So you didn't have to spend the night and wait and go and see the judge the next morning for first appearance?
I was released that night on conditional release to an officer.
Okay. And did you see Mike Hodges at the jail that night?
Yes,
Do you know Mike Hodges?
I do.
And did you call Mike Hodges for help?
I did not.
Did somebody call him on your behalf?
I believe so.
Okay. And so unlike everybody else who had to spend the night, you got released that night
I did.
with a notice to appear back 3 days later, correct?
Correct.
And then you were given some conditions that you were supposed to follow, correct?
Correct.
And did you have any issues following those conditions?
No, phone call every week. I think I paid dues.
Okay. You never violated those conditions?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
If I can approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Emanuel, I'm showing you a document that's called Affidavit of Violation of Conditional Release. You're saying you never saw that document before?
I have not.
Okay. And then, I'll show you this. This is what's called an order to show cause, or in layman's term, that'd be a warrant for your arrest. Were you ever aware of that?
I believe they mentioned this when they called to tell me that my case had been dropped.
Okay. And on the order to, the affidavit for the violation of probation, or conditional release, what day is that signed?
This day, it is signed the 26th of July, 2018.
Okay. And then the order to show cause, which would have been the warrant, there's a date on that, that's signed.
That one says 27th of July, 2018.
And did you ever go to court for this order to show cause?
No.
Did you ever go to court for this case at all?
No.
Do you know what day your charges were dropped?
The exact day, no.
Okay. If I had the document showing that, would that refresh your memory?
I'm sure.
does that say on there that your charges were dropped?
This says 27th day, July 2018.
Okay. So is that the same day that we were just talking about that the warrant was issued for your arrest?
I believe so.
Okay. And who signed that document dropping the charges against you?
The name listed is Christina Pumphrey.
Okay. Do you know Ms. Pumphrey at all?
I mean, I've heard of her. The only contact I really had was that call.
Okay. To let you know that your charges have been dropped?
Correct.
And while you were there, when Mr. Wester was searching your car, or when he pulled you over, did you ever see him put anything in your car?
No.
So you never saw him handling anything? You never saw him with a needle or bag or anything in his hands until after he came out of your car?
No, he was pretty far in there when he was reaching for the gun.
Okay. But now we saw a view of the car as he comes and talks to you, and he turned around and looks back at it. So, I mean, the distance is what? 15 yards? 20 yards?
Yeah, he was searching from the right side of my vehicle. I was on the far left side because I was parked over into the grass. He was on the side of the highway right here.
Okay.
So from where I was standing, I couldn't see inside of my own vehicle.
Okay. But did you see him reaching in his pockets or anything?
No.
Okay. And he's wearing short sleeves, so he didn't have anything up his sleeves either, did he? I can have just a moment, Your Honor? Yeah. Nothing further. Okay. Mr. Williams, any follow-up for this witness?
Briefly, Judge. How do you know Mike Hodges?
Kind of grew up with him. He's always been a family friend from church as a kid.
Sure. This man standing next to you on this video here, who was present during the search?
Yes.
Who's that?
That's Jeffrey Opry. He's a state trooper with Florida.
Did you know him before this?
No, not before this, but we did find out we were related
Okay.
during the stop.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. During this discussion, on this body camera, you guys realized that you distantly related, correct?
Correct.
All right. And your mom, what kind of work is she in?
She's an attorney's assistant.
Okay. Now, we mentioned that O'Pry, that was on video, these other things, did that come up in front of Deputy Wester?
It did.
Okay. Did he ever handcuff you?
No.
He didn't handcuff you when he took you to jail?
No.
Nothing else?
Anything else, Mr. Davis?
I've got just a nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. You want to keep Mr. Emanuel for possible recall?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Emanuel, I'm going to let you go at this time, but you are subject to recall by the state's request at this point in time. Thus, I'm going to ask you not to have any conversations with anybody outside of what you talked about in this courtroom, nor do you discuss any questions that you were asked. You understand you're still under the protection of the court at this time?
I do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Emanuel. You're released for the day. All right, who does the state want to call next?
Reginald Williams.
Reginald Williams?
May Mr. Davis and I approach while he's coming over?
Yes, sir. Mr. Williams, will you raise your right hand, sir?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may be seated, Mr. Williams. Thank you. Mr. Williams, a couple things as we're talking today. The jury is out where the audience normally sits, so if you don't mind speaking up and into the microphone, that will help everybody hear you. The second thing is if you hear an objection made, if you'll just stop your testimony for a second, I will listen about what the objection is, and I'll instruct you on how to proceed. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. Would you state your name for the record?
Reginald Williams, Sr.
Mr. Williams, where were you working back in August of 2017?
DF Outlet.
I'm sorry?
Bangers Ave, DF Outlet.
Yes, sir. And do you recall driving to work on August 20th, 2017 and getting pulled over by a sheriff's deputy?
I wasn't driving, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you remember getting pulled over by a sheriff's deputy on that date?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who was driving?
A friend of mine, Rebecca Lassiter.
All right. And I take it you were the passenger, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was there anybody else in the car?
No, sir.
Whose car was it?
It belonged to me, sir.
Okay. Was it a car that you would regularly ride in or drive in?
That's the only thing I had to ride in, sir.
All right. When was the last time you think you had been in it before the time that the car got stopped and you got arrested?
Riding every day, sir.
When the car you were in got pulled over, do you remember a sheriff's deputy making contact with Mrs. Lassiter and you?
Yes, sir.
Did he tell you what the reason for the stop was?
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you?
He told Rebecca that it was for a cracked windshield.
Was the windshield cracked?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how big was the crack?
Just like a, not no like lump in the car, just a crack, sir.
Did you know about it before he pulled your car over for that?
No, sir, not really. I hadn't paid no attention.
Okay. As he tells you guys the reason for the stop, who was he mostly talking with? Ms. Lassiter or you or both?
I would say both of us, sir, but he was talking to Miss Lassiter in the beginning.
Okay. At some point, does he tell you that he smells something, believes he smells something?
I don't recall, sir.
Okay. Specifically, does he make a comment to you that he believed you smelled marijuana?
I think so, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Had you or Mrs. Lassiter been smoking marijuana in that car recently?
No, sir.
Okay. Did he end up asking for your name?
He asked for my identification, sir.
And did you give it to him?
Yes, sir.
At some point, did he end up searching your car?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us how that happened. How did it go that he ends up getting from your ID to searching your car?
He asked, could he search the car, and having us, we having nothing to hide, say yes, and next thing you know, that's how it happened, sir.
All right, where were you and Miss Lassiter when he was searching?
He told me to get beside it. I was standing in front of his patrol car, sir.
All right. You were standing in front of it?
His police car.
Okay.
That's what he told me to sit.
Was that car in front of your car, behind your car? Where was that?
Behind his.
And what about Miss Lassiter? What about her? Where was she?
He said her to come over there and stand beside me.
Beside you?
Actually, he told her to come over there and stand beside me, yes, sir.
Okay. Were you able to actually watch him and see him search the car?
I could see him bent over in the car. I couldn't see him, what he was doing in the car, no, sir.
Do you remember him going back and forth to the patrol car at any point that you've just told us about? Okay, how many times? Do you remember? More than once? Or just...
More than once, but I don't know exactly how many, but more than once, sir.
Could you see what he was doing when he went back to his patrol car?
No, sir, because he had the trunk up, sir.
Did he ever tell you whether or not he had found anything in your car?
At one point, when he come and told me to turn around and put me in handcuffs, then he said he had found meth.
Okay. Was there any meth in your car?
I never knew what meth looked like at that point, sir.
Did he tell you where he had found it in your car?
He said in the lunchbox, sir, that I was on the way to work with.
Is that your regular lunchbox you regularly took to work?
Every day, sir.
Did he end up finding something else in your wallet?
Yes, sir, I heard this substance they call it was chemicals that a good luck charm, but he said it was marijuana, which it wasn't. After it was something that I called like a good luck charm, sir. Yes, sir, he did.
Did you give that same explanation to him at the time, that it was a good luck charm?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. Did he ever ask you about whether there had been somebody else in your car messing with your lunchbox or anything like that?
Sort of to the fact that I need to be more careful to be around, but no one had been around it, sir.
Did you tell him that that meth was not yours, it wasn't in the lunchbox?
Yes, sir, I never even seen it, sir. I was just going by what he said, but I'd never seen it now, sir. I didn't know what meth looked like at that time, sir.
But did he place you under arrest?
Yes, sir.
Did he take you to jail?
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time I'd move to publish State's Exhibit 3E as an echo. It is a detention report from Jackson County Jail for Reginald Williams.
You said 3E is an echo.
Yes, sir.
Any objection, Mr. Davis?
No objection, Your Honor.
You can publish, counsel.
Are you able to see that on the screen in front of you, Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in the top left portion where it's got your name there, Reginald Williams, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then in the top right, is that your photo from when you were in jail?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's scroll down a little bit, Mrs. Bittner. Now, in this middle section here, there's a book date and a release date. Do you see that? It's where the mouse should be moving across the screen. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are those the dates that you were in jail on this? August 30th, 2017 through September 1st of 2017.
I guess so, sir.
All right. Was Mrs. Laster with you from the time that you guys got pulled over to you getting arrested and taken to jail?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, who was she to you at that time?
A girlfriend of mine, sir.
All right. Are the two of you still involved?
No, sir.
All right. You were at that time, though.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's all, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams.
How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. I just have a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Did you end up reaching some type of agreement with the state with these charges?
I think they wound up dropping them, sir, and after they found out that none of the stuff was mine, and it didn't turn out to be anything, sir.
Well, I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about back in 2017 when you went to court. Did you enter a plea to possession of paraphernalia?
Did I enter a plea?
Yes.
I don't recollect, sir.
You don't recollect that? Okay. Have you previously been convicted of a felony?
4, sir.
You've been convicted of 4 prior felonies?
Yes, sir.
But you don't recall entering into a plea to possession of paraphernalia in this case? Is that correct?
I don't recollect, sir.
Okay. And I could have, sorry, Your Honor, I'm just trying to get organized here.
Take your time, counsel.
And then, well, I guess, how about a civil attorney? Have you filed a civil suit in this, based on this case?
Can you repeat that, sir?
Have you filed a civil suit where you're suing the sheriff and suing Mr. Wester about this?
No, sir.
No, you haven't?
No, sir.
Okay. And you told Mr., I'm sorry. You told the prosecutor that there wasn't any marijuana in the car?
No, sir.
Okay. And you'd never smoked marijuana in that car?
No, sir.
Okay. No further questions. Or actually, if I could have just a second.
Take your time, counsel.
Nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Williams, you want to ask any other questions of this witness?
Briefly, Mr. Williams, and you may not recall, I'm asking if you do, but do you recall how recent or how long ago those felonies were, those 4 felonies?
No, sir, not right off, sir.
Okay, I mean, an estimate, are we talking a year ago, are we talking 10?
It ain't been 10 years. Our first one I got was in 1990.
Okay.
And if, I don't want to tell you say the wrong thing, but I want to say maybe 2 years or maybe a little longer before I did another one. But
Okay,
I mean, I know the first one I got was in 1990, sir.
understood. All right, thank you so much.
Mr. Davis, you done with this witness?
I am, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, is he subject to recall from the state's perspective?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams, I want to talk to you real quick before I let you go today. I'm going to let you be released for purposes of your testimony today. The state may want to talk to you again, so to preserve your testimony, I'm going to ask that you don't talk with anybody about what you said in here today, nor anything about the case, nor what the attorneys asked you today. Can you do that for me until the end of the case, sir?
Of course I will, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
I can go.
State, who would you like to call next?
Rebecca Laster.
All right, let's go ahead and talk with Ms. Laster. Ms. Laster, can you raise your right hand for me, ma'am? Do you solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Clerk. Ms. Laster, I want to talk to you real quick before you get started. A couple things. One is if you make sure you speak up, that out there is the jury. We've got our courtroom rearranged for COVID. Make sure you speak so everybody, including the bailiff, can hear you, okay? Can you do that for me?
Yes, sir.
Second thing is if you hear an objection, if you'll pause your testimony, I'll instruct you on how to proceed, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you state your name for the record?
Rebecca Lorraine Wester.
All right, Ms. Laster, do you know Reginald Williams?
Yes, sir.
Back in 2017, were the two of you in a relationship?
Yes, sir.
Now, on August 20th, 2017, you remember taking him to work and getting pulled over by a sheriff's deputy.
Yes, sir.
Right. And Who was driving the car that day?
I was driving.
Whose car was it?
It was Reginald's.
How long had it been, when was the last time that you had ridden in that car?
I pretty much drove it every day.
Okay. And where were you taking him?
I was taking him to work.
And when you got pulled over, do you remember the sheriff's deputy talking to you and let you know the reason for the stop?
Yes, sir.
What did he tell you?
He said that he was originally stopping us for a crack in the windshield.
And did you know or notice then that there was a crack in the windshield?
Yes, sir. It was a small crack at the very bottom by where the windshield wipers rest at.
Okay. Did he get your driver's license, your ID?
No, sir. He never asked for it.
Okay. Did he get Mr. Williams?
I believe so. He went to the passenger side. He didn't come to the driver's side.
Okay. You don't believe he ever got yours?
No, sir. I don't think so.
Okay. At some point during that stop, did he end up doing a search of your car? Or
Yes,
the car
sir.
you were driving?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how that happened? What caused that?
When he made it to the passenger window, he said that he smelled a substance in the car. And I told him, I said, well, we don't even have cigarettes. You know, after I dropped Reginald off, I was supposed to go get some cigarettes. And so I told him, I said, we don't even have cigarettes, so I don't know how you're smelling smoke in the car.
Yeah.
And he was asked us to step out.
Okay. And did you get out?
Yes, sir.
Did he actually search the car?
Yeah, well, he came to the car. He made us stand at the front of the car first, and then he went and searched it after we were secured.
While he was searching it, were you able to see the area he was searching?
I can't hear you.
Were you able to see the area of the car he was searching while he was doing the search?
No, sir. He's put us back behind him.
All right. At some point, did you try to film this on your phone?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
After he came, when he asked me, he came back and he was talking to me, he asked me, whose lunchbox is it? And I said, you know, it's his lunchbox, it's his lunch. And he said, well, put your hands behind your back. Well, he told Reginald, put his hands behind his back, and he told me to go over towards the tree, which is...
How far away was that?
Maybe about 50 feet.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Is that when you tried to film this
Yes, sir.
on your phone?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
He was acting weird,
Who's he?
the police officer.
Okay, okay. Let me ask you this way. Did he let you film that?
No, he told me that I would be arrested if I did not put my phone down. So I put it in my pocket.
Let me ask you about that lunchbox. Had you had any contact or involvement with that lunchbox that day?
Yes, sir. Every day.
Okay. Does that mean you packed his lunch?
I pack his lunch every day.
Okay. How long was it between you packing Reginald's lunch and this defendant pulling you over and saying he found meth in it?
Less than 5 minutes, because we stayed less than 5 minutes away from his actual job.
Was there any meth in that lunchbox?
No, sir.
Did you put any meth in it?
No, sir.
The other item that Reginald had in his wallet, he testified to it as a good luck charm. Do you know what that is?
Yes, sir.
What was that?
It's basically supposed to be grass from the Holy Land, but it's basically grass clippings.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge.
Mr. Davis? Just going to give him a second, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks for Judge. No questions.
Can I speak with counsel real quick at sidebar? If you'll just stay there 1 second, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, State, do you want to keep Ms. Laster subject to recall?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Laster, what that means is you may be called later to testify again in this case. So I'm going to ask you, when you walk out here today, don't talk with anybody about your testimony today. Don't talk with anybody about the questions you were asked. That preserves your testimony in case we need you again. Okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Mr. State Attorney, based on where we're at in the afternoon, you think it's maybe a good time for a 15-minute recess to let you kind of get regrouped for the next couple witnesses?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis, you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
One thing that's unusual with jury is sometimes you don't know the pace of a hearings. There's some things we need to get ready for before our next witnesses. So we're going to take our recess a little bit early. It's 2:15. You're going to have until 2:30 to do whatever you need to do. Again, don't talk with each other about the case. Don't talk with anybody outside this building about the case. If you do talk with family and friends, make sure you don't speak of anything having to do with what's inside this courtroom right now. That preserves that what you are hearing and receiving is appropriate, and the counsel has the ability to ask questions and cross-examine any witnesses that may be appropriate. Another thing is, don't do any research about this case while you are at break. If you'll leave your blue folders in your chair, your name tags on, again, people have been instructed to stay away from you. You will be in recess until 2:30.
All rise.
All right, please come to rest. All right, Mr. Williams, as they begin to take their afternoon recess, anything that we need to discuss before we take our recess?
Judge, I have one more witness here. It is one with a video. Will probably take about as long as Mr. Emanuel did.
Okay.
I'll let the court, Mr. Davis, know we're already significantly ahead of schedule from what I predicted. I think from what I provided, we see that. I don't know that I can get anybody else here for today. Mr. Van, Ms. Laster, and Mr. Williams were all extra people that I anticipated on being called tomorrow. So I want to make good use of everybody's time, but we are ahead of schedule.
Okay, that's fair, Mr. Davis. Anything you want to say in that regard?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it is 2:16. We will be in recess until 2:30. Thank you.